Okay, let's continue. So we got to compound schedules of reinforcement. How many do we have?
7.
7. What are they?
Concurrent, multiple, mixed, chained, tandem, alternative, I think, and conjunctive.
Okay. So, okay. So another equation. Who can tell me what makes a compound schedule of reinforcement?
Two schedules of reinforcement.
Come on, all of you know that. What makes a compound schedule of reinforcement? We have
schedules of reinforcement, behavior. I don't know.
No. So what makes compound schedule are CRF, and then you have all the intermittent schedules of reinforcement, one of them, of course, or a couple, DRH, DRL, and extension. All these give us together compound schedules of reinforcement. So compound schedule of reinforcement is composed of all of these. Okay, that's why they're called compound. Okay?
Thank you.
So the types of compound schedule of reinforcement, like you said, we have concurrent schedules, multiple schedules, chain schedules, mixed, tandem, alternative, and conjunctive. Okay? Any question? So I just want to go back to that equation. So
there's a question in the chat about what's a CRF.
What is CRF? Continuous schedule of reinforcement, right? So that means, it means, thank you for reading the question. So it means for every correct response, they get a reinforcer. And we basically do this at the beginning when we want to have those foundation for a new skill. Okay, and slowly we move to a less strict schedule of reinforcement, which could be the fixed ratio, FI, and then slowly to compound schedules. Okay? When you see this, I don't want you to freak out when you see that equation. This means that they can happen at the same time or successively. They can happen with a stimulus discriminative or without. Okay? And it could have reinforcement for each element or combination of different elements, a reinforcement for a combination of different elements. So when you see this, just the meaning that the compound schedule is a mix of all of these that could happen together or successively. Okay, we already, okay. Concurrent schedule of reinforcement. So when does this occur? When do we have concurrent schedule of reinforcement? And like, you're gonna see how I divided them. It's based on Cooper. So you'll have, under that compound schedule, you'll have 3 different categories, 3 big ones. And under each, concurrent schedule is alone. And then the others will have different schedules that are similar and categorized in the same category due to sharing the same characteristics. So concurrent schedules are alone. When does this schedule occur? Who can tell me? When can you say, oh, this is a concurrent schedule of reinforcement?
It goes with the matching law.
Okay, but what do you see? How many?
You have 2 or more behaviors for 2 different schedule of reinforcement.
Correct. And the schedules are either successive, independent, or simultaneous, right?
They are simultaneous.
Okay. So both independently and simultaneous. So 2 or more contingencies of reinforcement for 2 or more behaviors, and those contingency of reinforcement operate independently and simultaneously. Okay? So responding to concurrent schedule of reinforcement provides a desirable assessment procedure because the participants make choices when you see make choices, what comes to your mind? Shamima, you just said it.
Yeah, sorry.
When you see making choices, based on what?
Based on the more reinforcing one, like value.
Matching law.
Matching law. That's the matching
The
law.
matching law. So we make choices based on the matching law. What does matching law mean? Means that I will go with the schedule that will give me more reinforcers, right? Based on the, let's say, ratio, right? Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So also because it approximates the natural environment, so it's more natural when you're making choice, right? And it's effective in producing hypotheses about potential reinforcers, because this is part of what? When do we use also concurrent schedule reinforcement? When we want to assess?
Reinforcers.
Yes, assess reinforcers, okay? And it requires participants to choose between stimuli rather than indicating a preference. And then we can say which one is a preference, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on this? Okay. So the other big category is called discriminative schedules of reinforcement. And this one, this one has two under it. It has the multiple schedule and the chain schedule, okay? A multiple schedule, it presents two or more basic schedules of reinforcement. It's an alternating or random sequence, okay? Alternating and random sequence, successively and independently. And discriminative stimulus is related to each basic schedule, which means, so we have two schedules of reinforcement, right? They happen one after the other, but we don't have a specific order for them. They're independent from each other, and each basic schedule has a discriminative stimulus related to it, okay? When I say basic schedule, what do I mean?
FI or FR or
Any type
VI
of
or VR.
Correct, okay? So that's what we mean with basic schedule. Any questions on the multiple schedule? So how many schedules of reinforcement? Two or more, right? In alternating, but no specific order, independent from each other, and each schedule has a stimulus, a discriminative stimulus, correct? Now, chain schedule. It is very similar to multiple schedule, but the difference is that basic schedules always occur in a specific order. Who can give me an example of a chain schedule of reinforcement when you see a specific order?
Pumping gas.
Okay. How is it chained?
Because you have to complete like 2 or 3 different steps before getting reinforced, like putting gas in your car.
Correct.
You have to insert your card, you have to type your zip code or whatever, like
exactly.
the steps
you have
are.
to open the lid, you have to put in the hose, and then you can start having gas in your car. So
and there's a clear ST between.
Correct. And exactly. And so what I mean here also, conditioned reinforcements for responding is the presentation of the following element, meaning like when what is going to reinforce the fact that I will open the lid for the container where I put the gas is the fact that I can put in the hose, okay? What's going to reinforce that element of putting in the hose is the fact that I can have gas in my tank, right? So every element, every following element of the chain is the reinforcer, is the conditioning reinforcement for the previous element. But the last element is an unconditioned reinforcement. Okay? So just remember this first chain. So it's very similar to multiple, but it has to be in specific order, and each element is a conditioned reinforcement for the previous element in that chain. Okay? I'll take this as a yes. Okay. Do you want us to go over them just for refresh, or are you good? Yeah, I think you're good. We'll continue. Then we have the non-discriminative schedule of reinforcement. So we have also two under this one. What's happening to this? So we have the mixed and we have the tandem schedule. Mixed schedule use procedure identical to multiple schedules of reinforcement. Okay, remember what they were? Present two or more basic schedule, alternating, successively independent, and for each they have a discriminative stimulus. That's for multiple, but for mixed, do we have a discriminative stimulus for each independent schedule? No. Okay, we don't have a discriminative stimuli. Okay, for tandem, it's the same as chain. We have elements, okay? But are they in successive order? Do I have to do the first step to be able to go to the second step in tandem schedule? Anyone?
Tandem looks like they are still in a specific order. It's just that there is no SD.
There is no SD, correct. But also, if I'm not mistaken, in tandem, you don't always have to follow a specific order. Anyone? Can you correct me if I'm wrong?
I think this is a debate in the field, but yeah, from what I have read, there's still a sequence to follow, like there's still a chain, like an order to follow. But it's not specific. And I think that the example is a maze, or I don't know how to get somewhere. Sometimes it's just, it's like you have to follow a specific way to get somewhere, but there's just no SD, there's no signal for you to get there, but you still have to follow a specific order, I think. But it's a debate. Looks like some people say there's an order, some other say no. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. Thank you. But okay, so another thing for tandem, so like we said, it is similar to chain. We have elements. We have they're successive, right? And but we don't have a discriminative line, and we don't have a signal, right? Something like we don't have a forget it. I don't want to confuse you. Let's keep it as is. Very similar to chain, but no discriminative stimuli. Okay. Now we have schedule combining the number of responses and time. That means interval and rate, right? What are these? Which ones are these? Which one combines rates and time?
Conjunctive.
Conjunctive and alternative. Okay. So for alternative schedule, it provides reinforcement whenever the requirement of either ratio schedule or interval schedule, which are the basic schedule, is met, regardless of which one is met first. So it's either or, right? For conjunctive, it's in effect whenever reinforcement follows the completion of response requirements for both a ratio schedule and interval schedule reinforcement. So it has to be both for conjunctive, but for alternative, it's either a ratio or an interval schedule. Okay, that's why it's combined under schedules combining the number of responses and time. Okay, so that's the category. So when you think of schedules that has both number of response and time, it's either alternative or conjunctive. Okay. Any question since we got to our last slide?
I'll just say thank you. That was really helpful.
Hopefully I didn't confuse you more. I know these are not easy and it's a lot of information. I tried not to go too much into details for each because it might confuse you more than being helpful.
You know where we could find some examples, like questions wise, like on choosing which schedule of reinforcement it would be?
You mean
like just like scenario questions, just because it is confusing because I feel like a lot of them like overlap.
I think there's many on some of the shared. Let me just start with my on the shared resources, like on Facebook. And we have some of the questions as well in our mocks, and I will be sending you some too. Okay, I didn't want to do it today. It was already too long. I know it would have been maybe helpful to start dissecting the questions and answering them based on what we just did. But I thought of having another Zoom where it's only going to be questions, and then we can answer them while thinking about each schedule. I just wanted this one to be an introduction, and then we'll do the mock questions.
Yeah, that sounds helpful. So you think you'll do that later this week?
Yes, I'll try to do it maybe before the end of this week. Yes. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Just
you.
as a recap, let's do it quickly. How many basic schedule of reinforcement are in effect in a concurrent schedule?
2 or more?
Two or more.
Multiple?
2 or more.
Okay. Chain? Two or more. Mixed 2 or more, tandem 2 or more. All of them have 2 or more schedule. That's why they're called compound, right? Number of responses involved in concurrent. How many behaviors?
2.
2 or more. What about multiple?
1 or more.
Yeah, 1. Chained. How many behaviors?
I think all other are 1 or more.
Correct.
Except
All of them
concurrent.
1 or more, except for concurrent. It has
Concurrent.
2 or more. Yes. Discriminative stimuli associated with each component schedule. For concurrent, do we have a stimuli for each one?
Does it say for concurrent?
It could be. It's not like a must, but there could be, possibly. What about multiple and chained and all that? Multiple schedule, let's say.
Yes.
Yes, we do have,
chained.
right? What about chained?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Each element is, right, the discrete symbol for the one before. Mixed and tandem?
No.
Alternative and conjunctive, they might have an ST as well, okay? Successive presentation of basic schedules. Do we have a successive presentation of those schedules for compound? Remember, is it successive? No, it doesn't have.
No.
It's a random order, right? We can this one or that one, depends. What about multiple and chained? Chain, do we have a successive order?
No, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chained.
Chained.
Yes.
Yes. Mixed, yes. Multiple, yes. Tandem, yes. Alternative and conjunctive, no. Okay? So the ones that have a successive are multiple, chain, tandem, mixed. The ones that don't have are concurrent, alternative, and conjunctive. Okay. Simultaneous presentation of basic schedules. So this is here the opposite. If it's not successive, it's simultaneous. It's for concurrent, it's for alternative and conjunctive, right? I think this is it. Yeah, these are my notes. Okay, So 2 or more behaviors. Who has 2 or more behaviors?
Current,
Concurrent. And all the others have?
1 or more.
1 or more. Okay. All of them have 2 or more basic schedules of reinforcement, right? Discriminative stimuli. Who has a discriminative stimuli?
Multiple and chained.
Correct. Multiple and chain. What about mixed and tandem?
They have no SD.
They have no SD. And the others, like alternative, conjunctive, and concurrent, could have and could not have. Okay. Successive, the ones that have successive presentation of basic schedules are mixed, multiple, chained, and tandem. And the ones that are simultaneous are concurrent, conjunctive, and alternative. And this is another way to categorize them. I think other resources have it this way. Which ones have simultaneous presentation of basic schedule, which ones have successive, and which are not, which is concurrent. No, just these 2, I believe. So you see in different resources, different way of categorizing them, trying to make it easier for us to remember them. Okay?
Yeah.
Any question? Thank you everyone for joining. We'll continue with mocks and based on the schedules. Okay, so next one will, from my side, my end will be mock questions about the schedule of reinforcement. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Laura.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.